Hello and welcome to the BAON's Illustration Social Distancing Internet Talk. Hello, my name's Ashley and I'm the Programme Leader of the BAON's Illustration course here at the University of Plymouth. I'm sorry that you can't be here in person to see our great course, and I do hope that you and your family are safe at this time. Okay, so thanks for that message from our sponsor. And we're on to the Illustration Instagram page. So if you want to know more about the course on a daily basis, then follow us on Instagram at Plymouth Illustration. So today's talk. We've got other talks available online. We've got why choose Plymouth, of course. What is illustration at the University of Plymouth? The modules, who will teach you, student work, graduates, and professional careers. Okay, so this is an overview of Plymouth, looking out to sea. So online today we've got Dean is doing a tour of the resources of the Scott Building, which is there, and the Roland Levinsky Building, which is there, so really close to each other. Roland Levinsky is where the main course is, and the Scott Building is where the resources are. Then we've got a virtual Plymouth flyover. If you go to the site, https://virtual.plymouth.ac.uk, you can take a lovely tour around Plymouth. And we've also got an online open day activity template which you can download to play along with Emma Carlisle, who's our children's markets tutor. And then also you'll find a foundation with illustration, a small slideshow. So, why choose Plymouth? Because we're a great course. Simple as. This is what the whole thing looks like from above. All in purple is the university buildings. And we have in pink here, we have the university halls, but there are other halls to the south of the purple area as well. So you're really, really close to the actual university. 5 minutes walk as the first year. When you get to the second and third, you're probably only 15 minutes walk tops. Plymouth is a small city, and most people walk around. And so that's the Roland Levinsky Building. That's the Scott Building again with our resources, and just here is the box, which is a 3 years in the making revisitation of the art gallery and the library, which is going to be this amazing performance space and exhibition. It was due to open just after Easter, but because of the COVID-19 it is on hold for now, but will be opening as soon as the government allows it to. So this is Plymouth, looking back at the university. Again, that's the Roland Levinsky Building, and then over here with lots of fish in it is the National Aquarium. So Plymouth, if you don't do the virtual tour, this is a very quick slideshow of Plymouth. It does look like social distancing has taken place already there, but these were taken ages ago. So Plymouth is on major theatre sites, theatre routes rather, and also we have the Theatre Royal, we've got the Drum Theatre for experimental, and we've got the Barbican, which is a working fishing port, bars and restaurants, but also the Barbican Theatre just behind the buildings, where our students have done production design and lighting design and stage management. And the Life Centre, north part of the campus, where students get discounted use of all the facilities there. Then Plymouth is a city of differences, really. So the Royal William Yard, Grade 1 listed, Royal Navy Victualling Yard, and that green arrow is pointing to where we had a pop-up show. We try to do shows everywhere we can. If we get an empty space, we will put up a show. So we had a week to do this, and it's for first and second years. We just printed out loads of their images and hung them on fishing wire. Very successful, lots of fun, and we try to do that as much as possible. So our ethos as a course is to help you to be the best that you can be. Really nice and cheesy and yellow there. We also understand what it's like to survive in the outside professional world, so we give you all the tools to do that. We don't have a house style, so we work with what you bring us, because that's what's unique. That's what makes our course unique, is what you bring to us. So, if you apply to us, you would study across a broad range and apply to the BA Honours illustration. But we also have these 4 distinct award routes if you want to. It's not mandatory, it's if you want to. So animation on the screen, children's markets, comics and visual narratives, and printmaking. You decide in the 3rd year, start of the 3rd year, whether these are the ones for you to do. If you're not sure, you stay with the BA Honours illustration, keep it nice and broad. So, as we've got an ambulance going right past me, and what will I get to do? Well, you do a whole range of things. We stretch you, of course we do, and you get loads of things to play with, lots of new things. You will become a professional, and that's a big, big sort of step up there. But you have your own way of doing it. So these are the sort of things that you get if you go to a university. All of those, all sound, that's what we give you as well. And we also give you all of this as well. So there's loads and loads and loads to do. It's absolutely packed. Some of you will know some of these medias and materials and the approaches. Some of you won't, and we will take you through all of these, all the way down to interactivity and virtual reality, which is great. And I'll show you a bit of that as we go through. Other contexts, so again, you're going to be familiar with some of these, and some of those you will find new to you. So, drawing is really important to us. And we have organised sessions in levels 4 and 5, that's years 1 and 2. We go out on location. These are monoprints done from location sketches based in Paris, where a student went off for a final year project. Then we've got sketchbook work from various field trips that we've undertaken, some Berlin, a couple of Italian ones there. And then there's the more sort of traditional, this is my sketchbook and I'm going to do what I like in it, which is great. We also take opportunities to bring drawing into all different scenarios. So we had an actor, we employed an actor to come in and perform Samuel Beckett's Krapp's Last Tapes, but he would hold the motion, so allowing people to draw, because it's always interesting to see actors pose. That's what you kind of want as an illustrator, but it's really difficult to do it in the theatre. So this was a great opportunity. This one is using interactivity. So let's go and have a little look at it. Oh, no, we can't. I should go back to that one. Oh, if it's going to work. No, it's not. Well, what am I going to do there? Anyway, interactivity. Virtual reality then this time. This will play. So this is done in Tilt Brush. We have Tilt Brush in the studio for you to play with, and essentially it works on mathematics, so you can keep drawing and keep going into any particular element, and it doesn't degrade in resolution. And the fact that it is maths allows you to then take the maths, and say you were drawing a creature in this Tilt Brush, you could then take the maths and put it into a 3D printer and print out your creature in 3 dimensions, which is absolutely fab. Okay, just coming out of the greenhouse in a second. At some point we're coming, here we go, we're coming out. No, we're not, we're going back in again. Come on, let's get out of here. Cool. So this is the course in graphic reality. So level 4, first year, we have 2 modules. We kick off with character, and that's 20 credits, and then we have gaining confidence, which is 100 credits. And I'll talk about both of those as we go through, and I'll show you some character. Gaining confidence is a new one for us. It's where we've amalgamating all our projects into one, gives us greater flexibility and you a better chance of passing through the first year. In level 5, in the blue section, we have 2 studio modules, finding your context and interpreting information, and then we have drawing and contextual studies underpinning those, and technique and approach 1 and 2, and then 2 lucky students get to go to Japan for 3 months. That was Japan, yep, you're right, and study over in the North Island there in Bisen, near Hokkaido. And if you do want to go and study abroad but you don't get to go to Japan, we also have an international exchange and report in semester 2. There are assessment points there in yellow, so you can see clearly when you're going to be assessed. We have a show at the end of the first and second year to celebrate your work. And then you get into level 6, the third year. And it seems like I put it through a shredder there, but I haven't. It does make sense. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as we go through. So, stage 1, character, and we have all of this: creative writing, body language, facial expressions, 3D animation, design for games, motion capture as well, which is a really good fun module. Gaining confidence in allows us to, as I say, be really sort of interactive with you guys and change things around as we see opportunities arise, but we're going to give you all of these things, not necessarily in this order, but you'll get all of this. Stage 2, first module up, exploring context. We ask you to work in one of these 4 different disciplines. We're not fixed to it at the end of it, but we ask you to just try them out. We set a theme for you to work within. Then interpreting information helps you to develop your voice, and it's working with clients either within the university or from outside, but we're working on UN sustainability goals, and we've got some fantastic examples of that later on. And then technique and approach 1 and 2 has drawing and contextual studies underpinning the 2 studio modules. Then we have the Japanese exchange, as I was saying. So 2 people for 3 months in Japan studying. How cool is that? And then international exchange. You can go to America, you can go over to Europe, you can go to Scandinavia. If you go online, you can see all the different sort of opportunities that are open to you. In stage 3, you have a dissertation to write on a theme of your choice. 3 different versions, and there's another ambulance. So dissertation, normal, written, research, practice and analysis, and extended dissertation, all different variations for you. Then we have consolidating your approach, which is where we ask you to look back over your work and project forward for the year. Set you a few different projects there, and then you get to negotiate project 1 and 2. Project 1 smaller, project 2 much bigger. That's what's called a major project. And then we have a professional practice running throughout the whole year. Okay. The dissertation, as I say, written or you present. Research, practice and analysis is making your own work in critical contextual frameworks. And the extended dissertation is twice the size of the written choice for those who love writing. So consolidating approach, range of projects, negotiate a project 1, give you some themes to help you decide where you're going to do, and then we work with you to develop those into project 2. You do up to 3 projects there, take on live briefs, competitions and so forth, and then the professional practice 1. That gets you really ready for your chosen marketplace. So you look at other practitioners, you look at your clients, you look at your strengths and weaknesses, you enter into competitions, live briefs, you do costings, we bring in an accountant, we bring in other practitioners, we bring in the AOI, we have loads of different things happening for you in that. That's a fabulous little module there. So this is some of our facilities there, but if you go to Dean's Talk, you'll see the rest of them in more detail there, and you'll take you on guided tours through there. And we have fabulous studios that open 7 days a week from 7 in the morning to just 1 minute before you turn into a pumpkin at midnight. So that's our current first year studio set up. The boards aren't there during the first module. We put them up after people have got to know each other a little bit better. So you have your own distinct little area there. As I said, everyone gets a desk space. So this is from 3rd years last year in our 3rd year studio. So Mollo, and actually named her chair there, and then some other students there. We have a shop which comes into the building twice a semester. There is an art shop, a very good art shop, less than a kilometre away, so about 500 metres away. But we do have a shop coming in, and it sells sort of very cheap materials, and it's nice to have it just outside your studio. Then we go into ideas and comments, so talking about the sort of the notions of illustration, really. So some 3rd year work, start of the 3rd year. Then we've got risograph zine done in the 1st year. And then we've got some political posters done in the 2nd year. This is the 3rd year's work. It's based on the Western Morning News, a local newspaper. Sex Dungeon discovered in Lee Mill, which is just outside Plymouth. but the sex dungeon was more about sort of tea and cakes and luncheon vouchers as well as gimp masks, as you can see. And what this student did was a beautiful concertina silkscreen book. This student's her dad was a fisherman, and he was concerned with overfishing and the plight of the seas. And rather than just make a sort of a shouty poster, she decided to make it much more sort of fashion-based to try and upset people's concerns about fashion and overfishing. This student in the second year was very sort of interested in investigating into the lives of sex workers in a very positive manner. And this student in the third year was, we set the theme of love, and she decided to go and interview a local women's refuge and then very succinctly put the wedding vows there on the left with, obviously drawn after, you can't draw in there, portraits of the women's experience. So a really powerful illustration there. Character is a really big part of being an illustrator. And here's some designs from the third year and from the first year. This is something that you would be doing in the very first module, making maquettes. Follows very sort of standard animation practice, and we also take it through into this, which is Street Fighter game. And hopefully this is not going to work. I can't show you the interactive stuff. That is such a big shame. Okay, well, I'm sorry I can't show the interactive Street Fighter game. Anyway, here's some more character design models. And this student, Lewis, always interested in model making, sort of the Games Workshop. And you can see some of his sort of previous examples. You can see the scale there of the little green fella on top of a champagne cork and how detailed he made them. For his dissertation, he decided to follow the Games Workshop interview task, which is to redesign the next iteration of one of their models. So he took a Space Marine, and this is his process. So you can see him starting to craft, to mould, and this is the final outcome. Pretty amazing. He did get the job at the Games Workshop, and this is some of his later work. He decided not to go for the job at the Games Workshop and set up with another company down in Kent, and he just did a Kickstarter, and in the 15 days he had a £300 target for these models that he created and moulded, and obviously he well exceeded his £300 target there. This is from Sky last year. This is a reiteration of Mulan. Then second year, Owen was doing something based on Theresa May there as Mayzilla. So characters come into theory as well. So this is part of our theory module. We ask you to do academic posters, and this particular student was looking at gender representation in Steven Universe. And the picture on the left, a little photograph there, is of the crit of the posters, the contextual theory posters. So very nice, casual, laid back. So we help you generate your critical thinking abilities in a very relaxed kind of way there. So some more character design. This is going more for a teenage market. And little dystopian, little fairy type sprite folk, which we'll see later on. Animation on the screen, one of the Exit Awards. And here we go. We teach you walk cycles, very distinctive walk cycles. And that is from the second year. So just little intros into various sort of animation techniques there. So some more fantasy type characters, and this student does actually work for Games Workshop now. He applied and he makes their ranges of models. Pretty cool. Storyboarding, this is from Alex from last year, who now works on TV commercials and short form films up in London. He's a storyboard artist. And this is Rebecca with working out the continuity for a stage set, for working out her animation, so she knows where to set her animation, what's going to come into sight and what's going to be hidden. And here we've got Ruben, who won the last year's ArtStation competition, which got him a week at a conference, fully paid, flight, hotel, food, everything, in Malta. He got first prize in the student competition, as well as a Daimler workshop internship as well, and a Wacom Cintiq thrown in for good measure. So some concept illustration. And then Natalia, this was her first job after graduating. She was working with Burn the Curtain Theatre, along with the Arts Council and the Forestry Commission. And this is a locative app, so you download this onto your phone or your tablet, and there are 3 woods in the UK where this actually works. So you can go and find hunting the snark around that particular forest around Britain. Phil here designing for animation, little concept design, and Gemma with a little GIF there. Nice and quirky. Molly is really interested in all these things, but what she's really interested in, of course, is transitions. The power of animation to turn one thing into another. And Keir, he just wanted to learn how to do 3D software, so we said, make something stupid. And he did. Very compelling. So, costume design. This was a commission for the university. 3 million quid was spent on upgrading the reservoir there on the north part of the campus, and this was thrown open to the students as a brief to engage 14-year-old schoolgirls into entomology. So this student worked out that he would use this character, who was found from an Edwardian book, country ladies book, who were looking at bugs, and made one of the ladies into a character. So, and this is a little test he did for a platform. Anticipation as well. Pretty cool. And now we come on to a little bit more animation, and this is for a sort of iPad kind of book where the animation is very subtle. It doesn't necessarily move the narrative on, it just repeats and engages. So this is one rhino at the watering hole having a cup of tea for himself. So this is where that dystopian little sprite from the outside was in a dystopian future. These children live inside domes, and they see this little character run outside, and they become intrigued, and so they go and follow. This also got into the World Illustration Awards in 2017. This is a competition set by an animation company, festival company in Berlin called Pictoplasma, and the idea was staring. And that's some more of Brittany's work, which we did see earlier. So you can see how character comes into everything there. So characters in animation, but characters also in children's books. Onomatopoeic text there, and then a more sort of Dorling Kindersley approach to Mexican food aimed at a child market there. Bubblegum cards, collect them all, and you build up a whole picture which illustrates from birth to a brave Native American Indian's life cycle. Putting your work into context, really important. Some fun sandwiches there. And then this is from Rebecca, who this year, this was the module she was doing just after Christmas. She's particularly interested in genetics. The choice between becoming an illustrator and being a scientist was hard fought, and illustration won, but she's brought her sort of interest in science to it. So she's inventing these little creatures as well as little gifts for them. So it's like a trading card game, but you learn about genetics through it. Comics and visual narratives. So breaking down the the 9-panel traditional approach. And we do this in the first year, breaking it down using sort of architecture, what you find on the ground and things like that to inspire the panels. Coming into the second year, this is about a young lady who wakes up, realises something has changed, and then realises that she's in fact pregnant. And as the fetus grows, she's having a conversation with it, and the fetus grows into herself. So it's an existential conversation there. So next we have this idea of why should a comic be flat? It doesn't have to be. You can make a three-dimensional one. So this is coming from the first year. Playing around with a gutter in the second year. So the gutter being the line down the middle there. How do you deal with that within a comic? Very impactful double-page spread there. Listening to radio, hearing stories, turning them into wordless narratives. This is the Syrian crisis. The mother had to give up her child to baby smugglers. Laura here invented this character and does it as a webcomic, and you can see her site here, and every so often she'll get the webcomic printed and make it available, and she's sold her work all over Europe, the last time being over at a Barcelona comic festival. So Jenna here makes beautiful, beautiful comics, and when she said, I'm going to make a comic for this, we said, well, you made loads of beautiful ones, why don't you try something different? And so we've got a VR setup, and we said, why don't you try playing with it? So she did, and this is what we've got, is a virtual reality comic. So she's working with a friend who's an author, not part of the course, and they've worked together to work out, this is the opening sort of passage in the comic, in a cul-de-sac, frozen in time. We've got the nice starry night which says that it's alive, and we can go into each house in turn. So everyone is frozen in there. So this is all done with VR. And what Jenna's done very cleverly is she's matched front and back. If you know anything about VR, once you go through something, it disappears. Whereas, of course, these characters don't. Because they've got two sides, you can actually go before and after. So she's playing with time within a static time environment, which is pretty cool, really. She's also worked out how to give the appearance of solids, so that the hedge becomes solid, even though, of course, it's not. They're all on flats. Everything here is flat, but she's breaking down this idea of what a comic could look like in virtual reality. So when you wear the headset, you can make this as tiny as you want, so you can be like a god in the set, or you can be like an ant in the set, and the whole thing towers over you. Really, really interesting. So, printmaking, another one of the strands. We've got really, really good printmaking facilities. So we've got silkscreen print here, we've got a collar and we've got a little bit of woodcut going on. So we've got a collar there on the left and a woodcut. And then we've got some risograph going on. So each colour is drawn in black. You print in the colour that you change the ink over to. And then another little risograph there. And silkscreen prints. Another silkscreen print drawing directly onto the screen. And we've come into our design section of the talk. Live brief set by YCN for the Royal Opera House, making ballet interesting for young people. So rather than just do tutus, concentrating on the blood, sweat, romance, death for the ballet. Making students consider their work within magazine contexts. This is the start of the second semester in the third year. And putting their work into various contexts. Some beautiful work here. Start of the third year, working on a project inspired by the BFI and Bloomsbury series of critical anthologies of films. So Alien by Roger Luckhurst there. Again, more work putting into context, and then imagining, unfortunately, Tokyo 2020. Well, it's going to be next year, isn't it? So then editorial, digital painting, working for a youth magazine, and then online editorial, making things move without being too distracting. So into book design. So a few examples there. We have an amazing letterpress facility there in the university. And then this is first year, looking at narrative sequence. This is a book called The Promise. And this student here, Emma, has made really good use of the gutter So there's a sort of before and after there. So the mugger thinks he's going to get some money. In fact, he gets a load of acorns. Mocking up into book jackets for third year for a penguin competition and another penguin competition. Steve now is a book designer for Little Brown and Co. Collaborating with other courses. So the monster on the left is collaborating with 3D designers, and the Go, which is a booklet, is collaborating with English creative writing students. And here's a double page spread from the inside of the Go book. So it's what it's been like at university for the first time, your first big shop, and realizing in fact you don't have the money you thought you had at the end of it. That went really successfully, so we did another one a little bit further into course, Letters Home project, so illustrated letters written back to the folks at home. Another collaboration working with Year 1 photographers, with Year 1 illustrators, going around Plymouth, investigating areas and then making reportage commentary about it. So we'll go into one of them, concertina book, all printed on the risograph machine, all packaged up in nice little sweetie bags there. Lovely. Another collaborative project, this is working within illustration, so 4 different illustrators working on the UN Sustainability Goals. We had the Sustainable Eel Project come in and set this brief. They liked what the students did so much, which is basically European eels are endangered. They are smuggled overseas in suitcases and they're worth more than their weight in gold. So the Sustainable Eel Project, as I say, really liked what they did there and got this professionally printed, 500 copies which they circulated. They took it out to the Tokyo Sustainable Food Conference, which was great from the students' point of view. They came back the following year and reset the brief, and this set of students also took the work out to the EU Commission in Brussels, where they were discussing the policies on eel smuggling. So you can see some of the illustrations, the black and red and white ones in the background in the MEP seats. Holly shouldn't be sitting there because it's an MEP seat, but she's there, and that's the delegation. John in sunglasses and the white shirt in the middle was the man who instigated all of this. He's our second year tutor. And they also went to the Comic Museum, which was fun. As part of this module in the second year, this is another client working with us. So the Fresh Air Research, which is talking about in Uganda, they, in rural villages, burn or cook their food in very, very sort of contained areas with proper ventilation not being available, and they also use kerosene lamps and animal feces. And the people who cook end up with lung disease, which affects their babies and unborn child. So this is work in process, being shown to the people, the audience, the target audience here, the ladies there, who feedback, and then this was the final outcome. And the final outcome is the result of 4 students' work, and they've also printed it onto fabric. And the reason for that is because if you're going into lots of different villages and you take paper, of course it gets damaged and it falls apart very quickly, whereas of course fabric will hold its shape and you can iron it again. So really successful. From that, Angus here in the glasses, and John, you can also see him there in his snazzy shirt. Angus did a comic, which they liked so much, they said, would you, and this is when he's got into the third year, make an animation of that comic for us? And so John managed to get, with another professor working on the Fresh Air Project, a grant to take them overseas to Uganda for 10 days on a research fact-finding trip, which was absolutely amazing. So John and Angus came back. Angus was fully charged up. He'd spoken to the people who was going to use it. He'd seen where it was going to be set. He was very sort of culturally aware of what was happening, and he made this amazing animation. And it's just got accepted, found out 2 days ago, got accepted into this year's World Illustration Awards there. So if you want to have a look at it, go onto the AOI site and go and look at Angus's amazing animation. We've also had students working, and they do this regularly actually, with the Oxford University Museum of Natural History, working on paleontology departments, bringing fossils back to life. Not literally, but in drawing, of course. So more research work from the third year. This is working with marine biology professors, aiming it at surfers. So going down to the aquarium, research trips, doing some drawings, getting ideas, going into a library, getting some books, thinking up more ideas. How can you show this symbiosis of humanity and the sea? Going over to the museum across the road, looking at their sort of coral exhibits, getting this idea, inking them up, very painstaking, and then thinking, okay, who should I get it sponsored by? Let's use Salt Rock, and decided actually no, that's not the best thing. It deflects the attention, and then we get this amazing t-shirt design which replicates obviously the human organs there to wear. So how much teaching do you get? Well, stage one, you've got a lecture in the studio virtually every day. We're a studio-based course. That's super important to us. We want you in. If you want to go to a course where you don't have to come in, don't pick us. Stage two, you get a combination of set and sign up. So you'll have scheduled tutorials, but there are also opportunities to sign up as well. Lectures, live drawing and workshops in stages 1 and 2. And stage 3, you get a tutorial. That's a scheduled one once every 7 studio days, plus the ability to sign up for additional ones. So you could have a set one and then a very quick casual one 2 days later as you see fit. Okay, so that is an important little figure, 26:1. That's a student-staff ratio, and that's how you calculate the hours for teaching. If you're going to other courses, which I'm sure you are, make sure you ask them what their numbers are. The higher the number, the less teaching you get. The lower the number, the more teaching you get. Simple. So, who's going to teach you? We're all practitioners, researchers and educators. This is me. I'm, as I say, program leader. Strand leader of animation and screen. My background's general illustration, but moved into animation as a director, but I mainly do sort of art direction for that. And that's one of the last big jobs I did for the Bank of Scotland. It's a combination of live action. So this is in fact a storyboard for it. So it's telling a conference of bankers about all the different banks within the Bank of Scotland family. And I also work in different styles as well and different names. So that's an editorial. John is our Point 8 lecturer. He runs the second year and he's a strand leader of comics and visual narratives. He loves the humour and the absurd. That's his driving force. Lots of great clients there. Origin Coffee there on the left. Working how do you draw a duck in 4 dimensions, and then some of his t-shirt designs. So Dean runs our drawing. He's 0.5, which means he's half the week. He's an excellent designer, a beautiful drawer as well, and some of his work. And then Dr. Stephanie Black is our theory lecturer. So you can be a doctor and an illustrator at the same time, it's true. And this is some of her work here. Then we come on to Emma, who's our 0.4 lecturer, and she's the strand leader of children's markets. And that's her. There you go. That's her first book. She got a Kate Greenaway Award nomination. Lots of nominations, in fact, and a Macmillan Prize, highly commended. And she was published by Macmillan, another couple of books, some proposals for other children's illustrations, and then some beautiful sketchbook work. So Dane is our recent lecturer joining us, and his job is interactive narrative. He's currently doing his PhD at Falmouth. Anyway, let's see his work. So he likes boiling line animation. And this is for a Grace and Perry exhibition at the Arnold Feeney in Bristol, and it's an audience survey. This is a little thing he's working on at the moment, which again is another little audience survey. Very lo-fi, using Raspberry Pis to power the whole thing. So he's interested in playing with old technology in a new kind of way and a new interface. Jo is our visiting professor, and she has written and co-written so many amazing books on illustration. That's her with Derek, a co-author at the V&A in London, talking about their book. The Becoming a Successful Illustrator is based on our professional practice module. and that's Joe with Sir Quentin Blake. Then we have other people come in as well. We have associate lecturers, and that's three of them, Lucy, Joe and George, bringing another variety of opinions and styles to the table. Then we also have a lively lecturer program. So every year we have this event called Pi, Plymouth Illustration Event, but it's funnier if you call it Pi, and we invite illustrators to come and talk about their practice. We invariably get someone Skyping from overseas, so in this case it was Veronica Lawler, Skyping from New York. In fact, everyone was here in the room this particular year. So you can see a complete variety of illustration practice coming at you. Chris came down, showed his amazing work, and did a special little drawing for us. Peter Kennard, really powerful. So a whole range of different practices and processes. This is a really fun event. We really like holding this. And this was the one we've just had in November 2019, where we had Ben Newman, Emil Ferris, who was Skyping over from Chicago, Catriona Chapman, and Dan Franklin, who's a publisher for Jonathan Cape, and with all his amazing experience there. So that was a really, really good day of talks there. Along with this, we also had a 24-hour comic challenge based on Monster, and that's doing a 24-page comic within 24 hours, so basically working through the night. And that's some of the happy students there at the start of the whole process. It's really arduous. We also get alumni in to talk. So this is Molly and Rosie talking about their practice and being generous by bringing in work to show with them. And we had Jenny Sparks down with her amazing work. And that's a piece you can get at that's Gatwick Terminal 4, I think that is, on the floor of. She does these amazing maps. So, studying abroad, yes, you can go and study in semester 2 and year 2 in Rotterdam, Bergen and Bratislava. Those are our main links, but there are others as well. Or else you can go to Japan. 2 people get to go to Japan. Then, at the end of the second year, the student with the highest mark is whisked away for a week in Prague for the Dean's Award. And it's a fully expenses paid week. That's Rebecca, and that's some of Hannah's work who got there the following year. You can also study in China on a 4-week summer school. The course fees, accommodation and your food are provided by the university. You just pay for your flight. So we go on trips, talking about trips. Off to New York, silkscreen print done from New York. We tend to go to Venice and Bologna. It's mainly for Bologna, but we go for this amazing sort of, it's a trade fair ostensibly, where you get big companies like Penguin, but also individuals. And then you get books from around the world, which you can pick up, you can look, you can talk to artists who are often there. If you've got your folder and you're in your third year, you can make appointments to go and see publishers. It's absolutely amazing. So back there in Venice, that's Emma who's sitting in the foreground there. The head going over the canal is Joe. He always wanted to be a children's illustrator. This is them in their first year. And Joe picked up some books from this Italian publisher, Topo Pittori. Liked it so much that he submitted his work to them after his third year. Didn't hear anything back. He decided to take his portfolio out to Bologna the following year, booked his ticket. Just before he went, they phoned him up and said, "Hey, we like your work. Why don't you come and see us?" He said, "Oh, I'm coming." And so he saw them on their stand, and they said, "We're going to publish your book," which is amazing. And it took 2 years of toing and froing and working out bits and pieces, but that's his book. That's Joe at the stand signing his very first book, and he's done another 2 books for them. And this is Joe in Tokyo this year. I was lucky enough to sort of bump into him where he'd organised an exhibition in Tokyo, which is pretty cool. Last year at Bologna Children's Book Fair, Emma, our children's market person, took Rachel, Jenny and Sophie out to Bologna. She got some funding from the university and took the 3 students out there where they met publishers and had an amazing time meeting other illustrators. And Sophie got her book accepted by Little Tiger Press for printing, which is fab. Rachel has had 5 companies interested in her, and Jenny now works for Macmillan. So Berlin we go to. So we go to Bologna every 3 years, and we go to Berlin every 3 years, and we go for the Pictoplasma Animation Festival, and this is from the previous year, which is pretty fantastic. I mean, it's the cutting edge of character animation across the world. So we also like to get out there with students, and this is going off to the BABE, British Artists Book Fair at the Arnolfini. This is doing another 24-hour comic in the museum across the way, and this is working in the museum on a children's exhibition, drawing all over the walls of a gallery. That's pretty cool. Putting up pop-up shops, pop-up exhibitions, working with the council, playing around within the university, getting the big walls to do, getting cars to paint on, which is pretty good. We've got a cinema on the ground floor, and this is doing the posters for a particular film series. We have a gallery, the second largest in the southwest, public-facing gallery, and students get to engage with that. We had 2 Olympic swimmers come in and work with us, and this is they printed 500 copies of this to circulate to school children to get over the fear of swimming. Going into various schools to do children's writing participation workshops. Another one, writing participation, working with children to make your own kaiju monster, and also cosplay life drawing. Going to festivals, Port Elliot Festival, we took the risograph machines there and made newspapers overnight and circulated them, and played with children's workshops, and then some socials, parties, Christmas parties, end of year shows. So anything else? Phew. Loads of different things. So when you move away for the first time, you often need help. So we have all of this available to you. We have a learning gateway, disability assist, counselling, chaplaincy. Everyone gets a personal tutor, and we also employ a studio buddy where you link up across years to share experiences. So you're fully supported. Professional practice, we have competitions, and we do very well in them. We bring in the AOI to talk to you about business, copyright contracts, licensing, and so forth. Section of live briefs that our students have worked on over the last year, and then the range of sort of occupations you can go into beyond as a freelance illustrator. So it's a really broad discipline. So, difference between illustration and fine art. Everyone works with their own practice, have their own voice, they have their own passions. Fine art tends to work as an image, illustration gets reproduced. That's one of the big differences. And so we get you to look at your work on different surfaces. And this is a mock-up that Mark did for The Guardian. He sent it out to art directors, and he got commissioned for You Magazine, 2 commissions for You Magazine there. We're entering into various competitions, Macmillan's children's books, not particularly children friendly, but in the competition they're very good at that. More competitions. A Dutch company there, and the AOI. And Fee here won, she got £1,000 in the John Ruskin Drawing Prize in 2017, and an exhibition, group exhibition in Sheffield in the City Museum there. So more World Illustration Award winners. And this is working with the RNIB. So we've got a portrait of what the person looks like, and then the portrait of the person as seen through their own eyes. So their eye defect there. And then making narratives move, really. Great fun. End of year show. Sophie here worked with a friend who's a dance student, so you can see the little screen there in between the sort of very rapacious hairs. But she also makes very fine detailed work and is now currently working as a tattooist, a very successful tattooist. We bring in a London illustration agent to talk to you about your portfolios and suggest other ways of pushing your work forward. We have awards. Courtney here now works for Hamley's toy company up in London in the art department there. We do a London show every year, D&AD, Designers and Art Directors, and we always like to put on a little special show there. We get Best Stand, again, Best Stand. It's a way of getting your work in front of art directors. This is from last year's one. We win awards there. Students get prizes and they get work. So this is Nobrow picking up Jack there for a 24-page comic. Some of Jack's work. And the type of things that students go on to. So some work as independent practitioners, others go and work for larger companies, others work for very large companies. So all different sort of outcomes there. So this is from Mark. As it says there, turn up with endless enthusiasm. That's what we want, an open mind. And we want you to be willing to just play, really. He's an extremely successful editorial illustrator, mainly works for America. Then you get to graduate, down on the hoe, yay. If you want, we also have an MA illustration, 2-year part-time one, which allows you to progress with us for 2 years using all the amazing facilities. You get a desk space. It's like an incubation unit. And that you also get as a discount because you'll be a University of Plymouth student. So, why choose Plymouth? We're by the sea, on the university campus, in the middle of the city. Everyone gets a desk, open studios, great resources. That's important to know right at the very end. Course target number is around 40. So we're a small course. We're not one of these big BIM-off type courses. Very small. You get to know everyone. The teaching SSR 26:1, as I was saying, know-how style, and the ability to specialise. And we're a great course. Yay. So in a nutshell, we teach you a lot. You get a lot of things to play with to help you to be the best that you can be. Yay. Thank you for watching. Oh, that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.